Attack natural.
Wait, let me get these all. Okay. Hello, everyone. This is little correspondent Fez with a report about the some more election news that I've been tracking. But first, we'll go with a little humor to get everyone a little more relaxed. And then my shirt is of course it's the U.S. flag, and this is Ukrainian over here. This way, Ukrainian symbol. United States together as one to fight, and we have to make sure that no matter what, Ukraine gets supported. So, yeah. Now, Dr. Oz is going to the new head. Is going to be the new head of Medicare. His first official act will be to show Oprah how food turns to duty inside the human body. Thank you. Those MAGA complain about the woke military throughout my entire life. Like the military has bragged mostly about how each day to get up in the morning do more than most people do by 9 a.m. Thank you very much. Their delivery is a little slow. Great jokes. Okay, let me bring in some. As I might have pointed out in the last political podcast we did that Donald Trump. I know this isn't completely redeeming, but he has moved officially under 50%. In fact, Cook Report, not exactly the bastion of progressive bias, has it 49.93 for Trump and to 48.25% for Kamala. Now, this is with 96% still at 96% is only in for California and Oregon. So both states where she won big, in California 20.7, 20.8% ahead. So you're going to talk about, I think it's 58.8% to 38.1%. So you're talking about 20.7%. And she's going to only gather votes because all the other states are basically counted. All the states that Trump won.
What do you think now, looking back, Democratic, as far as campaign strategy in the big picture?
Everyone, yes, everyone. Make sure you sign up for LMB podcast, and make sure to get on there. You can't really see it, but it says, of course, YouTube, and yes, YouTube at Late Night Baltimore. Okay.
But say something about
everyone. Please subscribe.
Politicals.
Okay. Now we're talking about the campaign strategy. Okay.
All right, now go into campaign. What do you think the campaign strategy, and what do you say going forward, and what's the good news of the whole campaign season?
Okay. Now we're going to go into strategy. Now, I devised a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 principle.
Rule of thirds.
The rule of thirds. Okay, you have 1/3 that are going to support Republican no matter what. You can't get to them. then you got 1/3 that you can reach, and that's going to support you. Because even if you look at it, don't look at electoral college. Look at what the final outcome of how close, and no one getting 50% or more in the general election population popular vote, which to me is the only thing that counts in democracy. So, and then over here you have the 1/3 that can be reached, that people who didn't vote, who need, that you can reach out to and bring on. So you concentrate on that 1/3 because you're not going to reach that other 1/3. You're not going to change minds. People are set in their ways, and especially in the above 60 age group range, you're not going to convince them to. There's no use debating them or trying to convince them. It's not going to work, because they'll just get angry and shut you down and shut the whole thing down and become more angry. So what we needed to do, when I thought about it after doing a lot of canvassing, is that you were canvassing for people that vote. But another thing is that I think I know you had people that were willing to volunteer to give people rides, but people want almost more anonymous way of doing it. So we need to bring buses to get people to the polls.
GOP, what happened to that? It didn't seem a general movement to get out the vote.
It just seemed that we tried to reach
it's an assumption of voting turnout.
the assumption, and then that you could that people would find Trump so disdainful or disgusting that they would not vote for him. Well, that is not your case. And another issue is with the corporate media. I know it was harder, but it really needed to, advocates of Joe Biden really needed to push what exactly that he did, how progressive he was in his governing as president. Everyone took it as that he was a moderate, more conservative when he took office. But when he took office, he started out as a progressive. And then there's such things as the CHIPS Act that helped manufacturers here, and actually brings thousands of jobs, high-paying jobs that people can make. We can make our chips here, our computer chips, which is so important to everything, the whole structure of our society, including our defense strategy. So, right there, the CHIPS Act brought thousands of jobs. He got a $1 trillion act, the Infrastructure Act. Now all the Maga people who bring these things into the states take credit for them, even though they voted against it. But he was able to get that through.
Well, here's another thing. When Joe Biden was running, all they did was talk about how old he was. Nobody ever criticized his policies. But then when he got replaced, instead of saying she's a new energy and here are these great policies of Joe Biden, she tried to pretend that don't bring up Joe Biden because people will bring up that they didn't like him because he was old, but she didn't really defend on the.
Yes, and this was a problem that Al Gore had. You know, you want to be your own man, so you move away from what was accomplished, and that you move away from that. In the Clinton years, there was such a boom that we had actually a budget surplus was handed to. Well, it should have been Al Gore, because Al Gore really won the race. but it was the Supreme Court that decided that
And
he would not be president. But it was all the other thing is he ran away from because he wanted to be so much be his own man, and that Kamala sort of wanted to be her own person and thought the strategy would be to stop, not talk about Joe Biden because of age, but then you had to talk about what was accomplished, how progressive you were.
Some at least broadcast speeches.
Now, people are misunderstand and they think that Joe Biden didn't do anything for like student loans, like he promised. Well, he did. He put executive order that took $10,000 off of student loans. Now, that was stopped by the Maga Republicans. So there's another thing where people need to know what Joe's done. And then they jump to conclusions because maybe Joe had a wrong take on something that wasn't in a progressive manner. But they never looked at the final result. They never came back and said, oh, I was wrong. Of course, they never did that.
Also, if you're talking about what he did for the working people,
and then
he took on the political
he took on the
damage of having to get out of Afghanistan when anybody would have suffered from that.
Yes.
He's the only one that had the balls to do it through 4 presidents.
Okay, and
also
Joe. Okay. Joe Biden also showed great honor to our veterans and honored our veterans everywhere. Organizations like Vote Vets and veterans supported Joe and he was the first president in the history of the United States to join a strike picket line. So people don't know these things, and they should know these things because these things are very important.
Also, there's ways to get, all these states have cities, right? All these red states, there's a huge blue population around every city. Even if you're thinking of like states like Wyoming, they have big cities that you could get a lot more people to vote if you did more aggressive get people to vote.
Okay, and remember they talk about voter turnout in number of votes, but then they don't talk about saying that it's somehow close, but in the blue states the turnout was lower. Like in think about it, in New York, Trump was able to get 44.1% of the vote in New York. That's because voter turnout was down, and those numbers are bad for Democrats. And in New Jersey, he got 46.1% of the vote, which is a blue state. In fact, in California, the voter turnout was down from 2020 by 13.1%. Now, the increases were in states that were the red states, like in Texas, where I believe it was plus 6.5, but then Florida was down, and and Kamala was a lot closer there. So you need to keep these things. Remember, Joe will go down in history as a great president. So think about and do some research about what Joe did. Now, as far as the worldwide inflation, the United States was doing very, very well. We were one of the best countries in handling it, and it was going down, and other countries it was much higher. And just think, Russia has hyperinflation, yet the dollar is still strong here, and the stock market continually went up. There was no crashes or any kind, or even interruptions in its growth. So, and the unemployment rate was in 50 years. So, give more credit to Joe Biden. I'm talking about Joe Biden, and he deserves a lot of credit.
Now also, people, two things about all this trade war. First of all, there's so many markets all over the world. Nobody has to sell stuff here.
Okay, yes.
Second of all, in 5 years, nobody's going to be making anything. It's all going to be automated.
Okay,
We have a global.
one last thing is that on the trade war front, now these tariffs don't make any sense. Tariffs are supposed to protect your domestic industries. Well, we don't have a textile industry. It's not going to come back because you have these huge tariffs. All it's going to do is hurt people in the pricing. And China has already shown that with farmers, with grain, they would just went to other markets and bought it. This is a global economy, whether you like it or not. Everything is dependent on every country. It's all has to do with trade.
And then also the currency now is proprietary intellectual ownership, which is the CHIPS Act, which that's what the United States has to keep going out.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll be back with another report.
No,
but
keep going.
Thank you.
No,
and
I interrupted too much. I'm sorry. The ideas didn't come until. Oh, sorry.